James, cards on the table, Brexit's here, loving Trump's work, and...
What's your favourite bit?
Well, all of it, but I think what you...
No, your favourite bit. What's the thing he's done that you love the most?
You said you've bumped into Boris yourself.
Go on, mate, I just asked you a question. You said cards on the table. You said cards on the table, but you're not letting me look at your cards. That's an odd way of playing.
Because I want to just cut to the chase. Boris...
No, cards on the table. What's the thing Trump's done that you love the most?
Because he is a man of his word.
What's he done that you love the most?
Pardon?
What's he done that you love the most? You said, I'm loving his work. So what's the act of...
Because he's a politician who tends to, unlike here, do what he says.
Yeah, so what's he done? What's the thing he's done? What's the act of work he's done?
I'm not in tune with the American politics.
Cards on the table, I love his work. Give me one example of the work that you love. Over to you, Alex.
Balls of steel. Okay?
No, but you're going to have to answer it before we carry on, because it's cards on the table, Alex. It's your own words, mate.
Because he's very much like Boris. He's a cad, he's a rogue, he's always...
No, but we know all that. You said you love his work. You said cards on the table, I love his work. So show me one card. They're on the table, Alex.
What I'm trying to say to you is he's a politician, but he's not the normal politician.
Cards on the table, Alex. Just show me one of those cards that you said in that really upbeat way. Cards on the table, James. I love his work, so show me one card.
James.
One card.
James.
One card.
Some people voted Brexit, others didn't. And
one card, Alex.
Carry on.
One card.
I'm not with you, James.
One card.
I'm not with you, James. I'm trying to just...
I love his work. Cards on the table. Give me one example of the work that you love.
So much work, because James...
So much work. So much work. It'll be really easy to give me one example.
No. Everybody in London voted for him, remember?
Nobody in London voted for Donald Trump. Give me one example of the work he's done that you love, Alex.
People voted for Boris, remember?
Cards on the table, Alex. Cards on the table, Alex. Show me a card.
I'm just not that in tune with American politics to give you a definite answer, but I'm trying to say to you, Boris...
So when you said cards on the table, what you meant was, I don't even know whether I'm playing Snap or poker.
No, I'm trying to say to you, Boris, you have to embrace what he is, and people voted for him right or wrong. He is a bit of a clown, he's everything you said he is, and I think he orchestrated this leakage. I think a friend of that recorded that. It was all done on purpose and construed to make a lot of media interest and chaos talking about Boris. And remember, when he went on the Marr show talking about Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe, he inadvertently spilled the beans of his MI6, MI5 briefings.
No, he didn't, though, now. So, you see, not only have you made a complete cretin of yourself, you've also just libelled the Foreign Secretary.
Why not? Everyone else does.
No, mate. You see, cards on the table, Alex. You're a clown. George is in Croydon. George, what would you like to say?
Hello, James. Yeah, that's the first time I've ever heard a clip like that from one of the Trump speeches anywhere in the media, and that is his tone. It is quite like Hitler, you're right, but that doesn't. That doesn't mean that there isn't that this isn't the kind of thing. The international globalist system is. I mean, people are not necessarily.
You know, you are aware that you're now the guy that says it is a bit like Hitler, but.
Well, yeah.
Okay, as long as you're cool with that, you carry on.
Well, because it's not necessarily about selfishness and racism. It's about people realising that there's a system. Our politicians represent the system, which represents the interests of finance. I mean, James.
It doesn't, though, does it? It doesn't. You can construe it like that. Hang on a minute. And the point is, most of these commercial decisions that have quotes left people behind end quotes have simply been taken to increase profit and reduce price. So it's not a massive global conspiracy. It's basic arithmetic. You are making widgets for 10 quid per widget. You work out, someone tells you, if you get them made at a factory in Singapore and ship them all the way back to the States, you're going to be paying 6 quid per widget. That's it. The equation is over. That's all it is. It's not a conspiracy. It's not globalism. It's not this. It's not that. It's not the other. It's just maths.
Or James, most people, individuals, want to be self-sufficient. It's a natural thing. Most families want to be self-sufficient. It's a natural thing. Communities and counties.
They want to be self-sufficient. You mean they want to abandon trade and just grow everything they need to eat?
You want to be able to support yourself and not be a slave to anything. And what the system has done, it's moved manufacturing here, food production there, it's moved things around the globe, and the banking system has done that, James, whether you like it or not, and it's made everybody completely dependent on them to the point where they actually own the system. And this is what Trump's saying, right?
Okay.
This is what he's saying.
So you sound a little bit mad. I've just explained to you why you might move your factory to the other side of the world.
You're making it, you're making a kind of a silly simplification of it. These things are controlled.
So why would you, if you were making widgets at £10 per widget and you found out you could make them in Singapore for £6 a widget, why would you move your factory to Singapore if it's not for the reasons I've suggested? If that's too simplistic, what reason would you give?
Well, I went to China, James.
Just answer the question, will you?
I met one of the people doing this, right? I met him in a hotel in Guangzhou. An American guy there. He was nearly crying. He was moving his factory to China because that was the thing that he couldn't.
Yeah.
He couldn't
There you go, George. You need to argue with yourself, not with me. He was moving his factory to China because he couldn't compete if he paid labour wages and what have you in the West, and that's where we are. It's not because of a global international conspiracy. Guess what, George? It's because it's cheaper in China. Full stop. And if you think you can change that, then you're going to have to tell the American people they'll be paying double for every widget they want by Christmas. And that's fine if he comes out and says that, but he doesn't, because he's a liar. He's a demagogue. And you're the guy that just said he is a lot like Hitler, but... Jazz is in Crawley. Jazz, why are you frightened of a balloon?
I ain't frightened of no balloon. I just think it's absolutely pathetic, and cowards like you aren't even going to turn up to this Donald Trump rally or anything. You're just going to be sat there having a go at the radio and...
having a go at the radio? I'm on the radio.
Well, you're shouting at the mic and, it's coming out through my speaker. I can't see you,
That is how it works.
I'm not really interested about your balloon. I'm going to get my drone out and fly it right into it.
What day?
Because I think it's a bit disgusting.
What day, Jazz?
Go. Sorry?
What day are you going to do it?
I don't know. Whenever the balloon goes up.
Well, you don't know when it is?
No, I've got no idea.
So
mate.
you're cross about a balloon going up on a day you don't know?
I'm not cross about.
You sound quite cross, Jazz.
I just think it's really pathetic.
Why? Because it's good to mock politicians, isn't it?
No.
No?
Really.
You don't think any politician should be mocked?
Well, let's just...
What about mocking disabled journalists? Where do you stand on that?
Where do you stand on fake news, James?
Well, I'm passionately opposed to it, Jack, but you can't answer a question with a question. I'm amused that...
I can't do it. I can't answer fake questions with fake answers. Sorry, mate.
Well, it's not a fake question. How do you feel about mocking disabled journalists?
Fake news.
Well, we've seen the pictures, Jazz.
Oh, fake news.
So the pictures are fake.
Fake news.
How do you feel about mocking the families of Gold Star families?
Gold Star families. Again, fake news.
Okay, but you've seen it on your screen, Jazz.
I've seen it, mate.
How do you know the Donald Trump balloon isn't fake news? Why have you chosen to believe this?
You're going nuts about it, and you know why?
Mate, I think it's funny. I'm not going nuts about it. I'm giggling.
But are you going to turn up?
To what?
Are you going to turn up to this?
I might do, I might not. I don't need to, do I? I'll be able to see it from the office window. But let's just focus on why you... Have you phoned me before? This is the first time you ever phoned me was about a giant balloon. I just want to know why.
Because it's pathetic, James.
Well, you keep saying it's pathetic, but it's also funny. I mean, lots of things are pathetic.
I really cannot understand why you just keep attacking Donald Trump.
You can't.
I mean, James...
Well, we know why you can't understand, Jazz, because you describe all the facts behind reasons to attack Donald Trump as fake news, so you can understand why. Come on, Jazz, no one's that stupid. If you describe the evidence of your own eyes as fake news, then you can understand why people keep attacking him. It's not difficult to grasp, but if you describe facts as lies, then you've chosen not to understand why. I can't really help you any more than that. I'm interested in your attitude to the balloon.
Real facts. Give me some real facts.
I just have. He mocks disabled journalists. He boasts about sexually assaulting women. He's a multiple bankrupt. He mocked the families of a Gold Star general.
Fake news.
Fake news. But the balloon is real.
Let's try some real
But the balloon is real.
What do you say about December 21st, executive order?
I have.
Human sex trafficking.
Balloon makes me cross. I hate balloons.
It doesn't make me cross.
I'm going to take my drone. I'm going to take my drone there and shoot it down. Ooh, jazzy, baby.
For you.
Yeah, well, I'm very glad you feel sad for me.
I feel real sad for you. You're such a good, intelligent man.
With your drone and your fake news. With your drone and your fake news. What sort of drone have you got? What sort of drone have you got? What sort of drone have you got, Jazz?
Don't worry about my drone, mate.
I want to know. I want to make sure it's big enough to burst the great big horrible balloon. So what sort of drone have you got?
Mine's got lasers.
Yeah.
Whatever it's got.
Okay,
really
well, I'll look out for you. I'll look out for you on the day as you make a great assault upon freedom with your toy helicopter. Stuart's in Burnley. Stuart, what's going on?
Can you just give me a sec?
Oh, what are you up to, mate?
I'm just pulling up.
Oh.
Sorry, I set off because you kept me waiting.
That's all right. No, well, sorry, the phone lines have gone nuts. Why are you cross about the balloon?
No, I never said I was cross, to be honest. No, I just find it hilarious, to be honest, really.
Oh. Well, you're no fun. So do I.
Well, no, hang on.
Oh,
First
carry
of all,
on. Yeah.
me and you were polar opposites, yeah? I voted Leave. I'm a Trump supporter.
What do you like about... What do you mean... When you say you're a Trump supporter, what do you mean?
I mean, I just looked at the way the election was going in America and made my decision.
Yeah, but what do you support? What is it about him you support?
Well, I support some of his policies. I don't like everything about him.
Which policies do you support?
I like the fact that he's trying to control his borders. I also like the fact that he's taking on some of the big businesses with trade, you know.
When you say he's taking on what people keep telling me is that everything he's doing at the border, apart from ripping the babies from their mothers and putting them in cages, Obama did as well.
Come on, James.
3 million people, but Barack Obama deported 3 million illegal immigrants, but nobody ever mentions that. But when you say he's taking on big business, what do you mean by that?
Well, he's standing up to people that haven't been stood up to before. I mean, the European Union. You know, have you ever heard the European Union? No, big business. Big business, Stuart. Well, you're saying the European Union is not big business?
Yeah, I am. I'm saying the European Union is the European Union. So what big businesses is he standing... What big businesses is he standing up to?
The European Union is a massive business.
Well, it's not, is it? It's a political union. It's a single market. Big business. You're standing up to big business.
Hang on a minute.
I am. I'm hanging on. I'll hang on as long as you want, Stuart.
But you've been... Hang on, well, if you let me speak, you've been promoting that the European Union is the dog's dangly bits for ages, so now you...
No, I haven't. I haven't, though, Stuart. I think the European Union is deeply flawed, but it's a hell of a lot better than closing your eyes and running into the nearest wall.
Yeah, but, it's an example. He's taking them on.
How is he taking them on?
He's got them rattled.
No, Stuart, how is he taking them on? What's he done? What policy do you...
He's making sure that the trade that goes on is equal.
No, he's not. He's doing the opposite of that, isn't he? Because why do you think Harley-Davidson has transferred production out of America?
Yeah. And Boeing are going to leave the UK.
Harley-Davidson have already announced that they're moving out some production from America because of tariffs on steel coming in from China and Canada.
We've done it all before. Everybody's going to do everything, but they don't actually do it, do they?
But they already have.
What have they done so far?
They've announced that they're removing production from America because they don't want to pay for the steel under the tariffs that Donald Trump has introduced. Stuart, mate, you're supposed to be telling me about the stuff you support, and so far all you've really done is just keep saying European Union a lot.
I actually rang up to talk about a balloon.
No, I asked you why you were cross about the balloon.
I didn't, and I said I wasn't cross about the balloon.
So what do you ring in to talk about the balloon for, then?
I actually said to your person on the line that I find it hilarious.
Yeah, you told me that already, and then you moved on to other stuff about Trump.
I'll tell you why I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, by the way, when I said that we were polar opposites and I voted to leave...
Well, you've done it again. You've just started talking about the balloon, and then you've gone off on a tangent, and then in 2 minutes you'll say that I didn't let you talk about the balloon. Talk about the balloon. Everyone knows we're polar opposites, Stuart. It could not be clearer.
Hang on. I want your listeners to know that I'm 2-0 up.
OK, Paul, let me tell you, Stuart is 2-0 up. For anyone who might have missed those goals because they went to make a cup of tea, Stuart is 2-0 up. Now, back to the balloon.
Right, good. Right. Now, the other thing is, the balloon.
Yes.
I find it absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, you said 4 times.
Everything that's going on with Trump, if that's the best that you've got, if that's it, a balloon, flying a balloon, it just it just smells of desperation from the left. Is that it? Is that what you've got, a balloon?
You think the only opposition to Donald Trump is the balloon?
Yeah. Is that what he's clinging on to, a balloon?
No, people just think it's funny, but you said that yourself.
Yeah, but the coverage of it today, you know...
Well, the coverage on this programme has, to be fair, Stuart, and I know you're 2-0 up, so I can say this confident that I won't take the lead as a result. On this programme, the coverage has really just involved laughing at really silly people like you.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Yeah, and let me just put you right on something. Locking children in cages, you keep repeating it and repeating it.
Have we got the footage of that? Actually, I think we have, haven't we?
Yeah,
stay there, Stuart. No. We've got the tapes from the actual camp, I think. Ready, Stuart, put your dummy in for a minute, mate. Go on, Stuart. Say something else stupid.
That sounds like the Remainers.
There we go. Well done.
Graham's in Whitechapel. Graham, what's going on?
Hello, James. Good morning.
Hello, mate.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I'm a full support. I support Donald Trump. I've heard many a lie come out of the White House before Donald Trump was even thinking about running for the White House. Let's go for one lie. The White House is saying that they're not dropping white phosphorus on Fallujah. Al Jazeera is showing me videos of white phosphorus being dropped on Fallujah. You know...
Why does that make Donald Trump a truth teller?
Well, I have not said he's a truth teller yet. We haven't even got down to Donald Trump. I'm just pointing out...
Well, that's what the phone-in is about, Donald Trump.
Yeah, and I'm a full supporter of Donald Trump.
Do you think he's a liar?
No, I don't think he's a liar.
When he said he was going to release his tax returns, was he telling the truth?
I think he was telling the truth, but things...
So they're incoming, are they?
Huh?
They're incoming, are they?
Possibly.
Right. And the numbers yesterday? The numbers at the inauguration yesterday, when he sent his press spokesperson out to say they were the biggest ever? I mean, unless you're using a different mode of counting from everybody else, was that a lie or not?
Well, let's put it like this. The pictures that CNN put out and the pictures of the programme that I watched on the inauguration, they wasn't the same two things. So I'm not saying that CNN...
So what programme did you watch?
I watched it on the internet.
You watched it on the internet, and what cameras were they using?
I think they was using the general cameras or whatever, unless they had their own. I'm not like that technical. I'm not technical like that, James, to know exactly whose cameras they was using.
Do you not want to know? I mean, otherwise you could have been watching anything.
Well, I couldn't have, because Donald Trump was on the stage, so I wasn't watching Kim Jong or anyone else, or President Putin. It was Donald Trump. But it was
somehow that camera was seeing different pictures from all the other cameras that were there. But you don't know where your camera came from.
I've not actually seen actually moving pictures of empty crowds. I've only seen photographs of that.
So you were watching photographs on the internet?
No, James. No, I wasn't watching photographs. I was watching a live stream.
But they weren't moving crowds?
No, I'm talking about the pictures of nobody being there with, like, the empty bits that CNN is rolling out.
How do you know? You didn't watch CNN?
James, I've watched CNN since then.
Since then you've watched it? And you saw different pictures from the ones you saw on the internet?
The kind of person I am. I'm the type of person...
I think I know what type of person you are, Graham.
Well, go on then, you tell me.
You're a kind of person that watches stuff on the internet and thinks it's more reliable than other stuff.
No, James.
All right, sorry. So you've been lying to me.
No. Come on, are you going to let me talk, or are you just going to run me down and try and hustle me into making some kind of fool of myself?
I'm letting you talk, but that's how you're making a fool of yourself. If I interrupted you more, you'd be making less of a fool of yourself. But you carry on.
Right, okay. So as I was saying, what I saw from CNN was not what I saw live on the stream. What I have seen since watching the stream is different to what I watched when I was watching it. It wasn't the same thing, if that makes sense. I know it won't, because it doesn't make sense to you, does it?
It doesn't matter what I think. Does it make sense to you, what you just said?
Of course it does.
Say it again?
Of course it does. Of course it does.
Say it again?
Listen. I sit down and I watch BBC News. I take in news from all places.
No. It was CNN a minute ago, but say again the stuff you just said that made sense. Say it again.
James, you can rewind it when we're done and play that again. I'm trying to
That would be cruel.
If you don't want me to make the point, do you want me to just go?
You keep saying that. I'm hardly talking. Say it again. Explain it again. The same point. Have another go.
No. You see, now that you've riled me up, you're not saying anything. You know what you're doing, James. You're a bear baiter.
And you're a big bear, are you?
No, I'm not a bear.
Oh.
I've got a bit of a beard.
Who am I baiting then?
You're baiting me.
But you're not a bear.
What I want.
Oh, do you know what?
Are you having a
it's
laugh?
awful.
Are you really having a laugh?
I am having a massive laugh, Graham.
Yeah, do you know what? It don't surprise me.
Entirely at your expense, but I've got to find a way not to laugh at you, haven't I? Because you saw a stream.
No.
Thing
Listen,
on the internet.
I watched the inauguration on a live stream on the internet. That's what I did.
Yes.
Now you're picking up on that to say.
But you don't know why the cameras saw something different from what all the other cameras saw there that you saw on CNN afterwards when you watched it on catch-up.
That's right. What they were.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Ring me back when you found out who was running the cameras that you saw the inauguration on, and then we can find out. We can check it, can't we? We can go objective.
That's absolute rubbish. But anyway, James, go on. You've had your moment.
I've had my moment.
Yeah.
I thought I was interrupting you all the time.
The trolls, mate, because you don't let nobody speak. As soon as they're speaking, you interrupt them, and then when they stop speaking, then you don't speak to make them look even stupider.
Oh.
You're good at it.
Well,
but then again, you've had a lot of practice at it, haven't you? So.
Graham, mate, I don't think anything I did in the course of that conversation was responsible for you sounding stupid. I really don't. But if that keeps you comfortable, or that warms you, or allows you to cling to your last vestige of credibility, then I am happy. I am happy to be whatever it is you think I am. Just like you saw whatever you wanted to see on that screen, and everything else is lies, and everything else is nonsense. But you are a great big bear. Ian's in Yateley. Ian, best case scenario.
Hi there. Thank you for having me on the programme. Okay, the best case scenario for Donald Trump being the president is that he unifies, I believe he will unify America. I believe that he will absorb the UK into a new kind of block of, Western forward-thinking civilization, really.
What do you mean by Western? Will it include Germany and France?
No, definitely not.
So you mean English speaking?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
white, mostly white, because I mean he's not got a strong track record with ethnic minorities in America. He called them all rapists, and he wants to ban all Muslims from the country. So he's not going to unify them, is he?
No, he's.
So he's going to unify white English speakers.
No. Obviously.
No. Okay, he's going to unify white English speakers who like him.
No, he's going to unify America as it is. Like, I mean, the Mexicans, all the rest of them are going to unify behind him.
Why?
Because I think the press have taken it out of context what he said.
Which bit?
It around the bit where kind of he said they were rapists and that, and
they didn't take it out of context. We watched the speech, Ian. How do you take that out of context? He stood behind a podium and said the words, and we all saw it. How do you take that out of context?
Well, I personally interpreted it. I didn't interpret literally what he meant, because that would be ridiculous, wouldn't it? That would be like.
So how did you interpret it?
I just thought that he kind of hinted at, that.
So he hinted that all Mexicans were rapists.
It was a suggestion that there was
because
a possibility.
To claim it would be ridiculous, given that all you'd have to do to prove that he was an idiot was find a single Mexican who wasn't a rapist. Anthony is in Los Angeles. Anthony, what would you like to say?
Hey, James, thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome.
Yeah,
nice
real
to hear
quick,
an American accent.
Yeah, you can tell, right? Just want to be quick on the Trump lies. I'm one of the rare Trump fans that is not a racist, according to you. But just want to be quick. Like you mentioned Trump's lies, and sure, I get it. Like he hasn't been perfect when it comes to his facts.
He's lied over 3,000 times in 400 days.
I get it, and I totally get it. But at the same time, it's not like he's he's out of the ballpark here. I mean, his lies are usually pointed to some sense of truth, which is very hard nowadays. And
so when he lied about Ronald Reagan winning Wisconsin, what sense?
Let me bring that up real quick.
What sense of truth did that point to?
So you were like, great example, because you were like, what? Oh, wait, okay. What was his lie that he won Wisconsin and Ronald Reagan didn't?
Yeah, Reagan won it twice.
Yeah, he won it twice. But then people, hear Trump say that. Well, we're looking it up and we're going, you know what? Okay, Reagan won it, but it's been about a decade since Wisconsin has ever won by a Republican state. So, in a sense, that's pointed to a truth. Trump's
no. There's no truth there at all.
His whole point there was being like, we haven't won Wisconsin in about a decade.
No, his whole point was that Ronald Reagan didn't win it.
No, his whole point there
was
listen
to yourself.
We haven't won Wisconsin.
He said Ronald Reagan didn't win Wisconsin. We just discovered I did. How is that relevant to what happened 10 years ago? Ronald Reagan was dead?
No. Yeah, he said Ronald Reagan...
Okay, here's the other one. I don't think we're going to agree on this. You think that when he said Ronald Reagan didn't win Wisconsin, what he really meant was something completely different. When he said he predicted Brexit, cutting the ribbon at Turnberry, and we have photographs of him, which is when he said Brexit will happen, and he said it was the day before Brexit. We have photographs of him at Turnberry cutting the ribbon, and it was the day after Brexit. What was the truth that pointed to?
He was the whole campaign. His whole campaign.
No, specific question. Specific question.
Okay, exactly. This is my point. This is exactly my point here. His whole focus was on his whole rally was saying, Brexit's going to happen. He said this.
That was after. That was after Brexit happened. So I'll run it by you again.
But then I said,
these are his words. I was cutting a ribbon for the opening of Turnberry the day before the Brexit vote. I said Brexit will happen. The vote is going to go positive. Now, he did that. He cut that ribbon the day after the Brexit vote. So what was the truth he was pointing at there?
Okay. So we're doing the day after, this...
No, I should make this clear. I'm sure you understand, but the vote had already been reported. We knew what the vote was.
Let's turn the table, James.
No, let's not. Let's answer my question about what truth was that pointing at?
All right, I'm an American, like you said, so my terms on British politics are a bit vague here.
No, but you know the difference between Monday and Tuesday.
But let me just bring up a point here.
No, tell me what truth that was pointing at.
Let me talk on this.
No, I won't, because you've made some excellent points, and I'm keen to examine them. So you said when he tells lies, he's pointing to truths. So when he lied about Ronald Reagan not having won Wisconsin, he was pointing to something completely different. When he lied about predicting Brexit,
has been won in about 10 years.
When he was, yes, I know, I understand the point that you made, but it's completely different from claiming that Ronald Reagan never won Wisconsin. When he lied about predicting Brexit, what truth was he pointing to then?
But throughout his whole rallies, he was saying Brexit's going to happen. Throughout his whole entire rallies, that whole campaign, he was literally claiming that.
The campaign didn't really start until after Brexit had been completed. I just want you to tell me what truth he was
pointing out to UK and being.
Anthony, this doesn't get any less embarrassing for you the more you talk over me. When he lied about predicting Brexit, what truth was he pointing to?
He was pointing to his general prediction that there's a change coming on in the global.
So why would he lie then about doing it when he was cutting a ribbon?
Lying.
He's not lying.
Was there.
Okay, well then we've reached the end of our little rainbow. He's not lying when he says that I was cutting a ribbon for the opening of Turnberry the day before the Brexit vote. I said Brexit will happen. He didn't cut the ribbon at Turnberry until the day after the Brexit vote. But for Anthony in Los Angeles, he's not lying, and Anthony certainly doesn't like Donald Trump for other more sinister reasons. Paul is in Braintree. Paul, how cross are you?
I'm a bit annoyed, actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I've got a letter from the council because of a George flag.
Yes, but it's there.
Take it down.
Well, that's awful.
Sorry?
But is it their property that you live in?
No, it's not. It's my own property.
Well, then they can't tell you that you have to take a flag down.
No, they recommended that I take it down because it would be classified as a racist thing.
Then ignore them. Can you send me the letter? Have you got it there? Can you read it to me?
I'm literally on the M25, mate. I did tell you lady that. I'm literally on the M25.
So you got a letter off the council recommending that you take down your St George's flag, but they have no power to do so because you don't live in a council property.
Yeah, their exact words were along the line of, it may be taken as a negative... I can't remember the exact word, but...
No, but you do. You said their exact words were along the lines of, so I knew they weren't going to be exact.
It could be taken down. It could be taken in a negative fashion.
Right. But it's your house.
Yes, I appreciate that.
And did you take it down?
No, I haven't took it down.
But you're cross about the balloon.
Yeah, I am.
All right,
I am
mate. Have a lovely weekend, Paul.
Oh, so you're not going to let me have an opinion? That's not...
I've just heard your opinion, and now I'm laughing at it.
No.
That's what freedom of speech is all about. You've got an opinion, I'm laughing at it. And well done for keeping your flag up. I look forward to you emailing me that letter. James is in Islington. James, what would you like to say?
Good afternoon, James. I must say I'm a regular listener to yourself and your colleagues as well. What I would say is, in regards to what you've been saying earlier on, I see obviously you and one of the previous callers have gone on about Trump being a racist. Now, I think that it's a bit far-fetched. He obviously has come out with things that are very stupid to say. However, what I will say in regards to that is, in regards to the ethnic minority employment rate in America, it's at a record low now. So,
yeah, and mate, the racism line is about telling people who were born in America to go back where they came from. So let's just park that and move on.
I appreciate what you're saying.
Good.
In regards to actually the Trump and Farage interview last night,
yes.
I did listen to that, and I was quite impressed with what he had to say. Admittedly, obviously,
but you already like him, and you don't think he's a racist.
Well, I don't think so. I'll say racist a bit far-fetched. So maybe he's come out with idiotic comments, so I'd say
but
that.
Telling people who were born in America to go back where they came from isn't idiotic or far-fetched, my friend. It's racist.
Well, it's down to interpretation at the end of the day.
No, it really isn't.
No, obviously, we obviously disagree on this issue. However, the point I was going to call to make is...
Let me guess what the point you were going to make was.
Okay.
I think it was really bad for Jeremy Corbyn that Donald Trump criticised him, and good for Boris Johnson that he praised him.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. So I personally do think that is the reason. The best,
Go on, then, let me ask you why.
Analogy. Well, the reason I think that is purely I live in Islington, which is a very Remain and obviously Jeremy Corbyn.
Right, mate, I'm going to have to wait. I'm going to have to wait for the biography to find out more details. Why do you think it was bad for Jeremy Corbyn to be criticised by Donald Trump?
Well, the US is our biggest ally. There's no denying that. With the US,
the US was our biggest ally when Barack Obama told us not to do Brexit. Did you applaud him?
Well, look, obviously not. But however,
why obviously?
With Trump,
why obviously not?
Coming out, he's promoting a free trade deal.
Why obviously not?
Well, because personally, I've supported Brexit.
So it's got nothing to do with America's status or its relationship with us, and everything to do with whether or not Donald Trump says something you agree with. But anyway, let's just focus on the central question. I'll remind you what it is. Why do you think it's bad for Corbyn to be criticised by Donald Trump?
I personally think it's bad for Corbyn, purely for the fact is
yes.
Trump's come out, he said he wants a free trade deal with the United Kingdom, and he has obviously said that with Boris's deal there may be limitations to how far...
Yes, but why is any of this bad for Corbyn?
Well, it's bad for Corbyn because Corbyn sat on the fence throughout the entire Brexit process, and he is.
But why does Donald Trump criticising Corbyn do damage to Corbyn?
Well, because a lot of people, especially, well, maybe not in London, but when you leave London, people aren't that keen on Corbyn. Obviously, he's got a lot of...
Yeah, but that's not an answer to the question I asked, is it? You're telling me about people who already don't like Corbyn. Why would being criticised by Donald Trump be bad for Jeremy Corbyn?
Well, it would be bad for Jeremy Corbyn because a lot of people see America's our largest ally, and if the leader of the United States is openly saying that Corbyn would be bad...
But the leader of the United States openly said that Brexit was bad, and it didn't change your mind about anything, did it?
It didn't.
So let's go back to the question that you've rung in to answer for the 7th time of asking. Why would being criticised by Donald Trump last night be bad news for Jeremy Corbyn?
Well, because anyone who wants Brexit to succeed, anyone who wants
Brexit to succeed is not going to have been planning to vote for Jeremy Corbyn, are they? So let's try for the 8th time.
Not necessarily. They may well have. You've got the Labour leave areas in the north. They could well be voting for Labour. And there's a lot of places where you could put a Labour vote on a donkey and they would vote for Labour.
It's like we're having a sort of word salad. Listen, I'm not going to embarrass you by asking you 11 times, but I will ask you once more. In terms of people who had a position on Jeremy Corbyn at 5 o'clock yesterday and then heard Donald Trump criticise Jeremy Corbyn and you believe that that might have made them look more negatively at Jeremy Corbyn. Just explain your thinking to me. How would that have happened?
Because he's promoting the free trade deal with the United Kingdom. Now, anyone who wants Brexit to succeed or wants to move on...
I just can't do this anymore. Last chance, all right? Why is it bad for Corbyn? Because he criticised Johnson as well, James. I don't know if you missed that bit.
I know.
Yeah, good.
I know.
So why is it good for Johnson and bad for Corbyn?
Well, because there's a number of reasons for it.
Well, just one. I'd kill for one at the moment, mate.
Well, at the end of the day, this is Jeremy Corbyn could potentially become Prime Minister. Now,
well
we want a good working relationship with our closest
But he criticised Johnson's deal as well. He criticised Johnson's deal as well. So how is that good for Johnson?
He said Johnson is a great guy on numerous occasions.
Yes, but he criticised the withdrawal agreement that the whole election was called about. So how can he be good for Johnson and bad for Corbyn?
Well, because he's promoting a free trade agreement. He says he wants a free trade agreement with
He said he didn't want Johnson. So how is it good for Johnson for Donald Trump to say, I don't want the thing that you can offer me?
But he didn't say anything. He didn't say it's not.
Oh, I've done my bit, honestly. It's not a charity, it's a radio programme. Brendan's in Portsmouth. Brendan, what would you like to say?
Hello, James. Yeah, self-confessed gammon-faced middle-aged man.
Me too, mate. But gammon is a state of mind, not a state of facial.
Not too similar to yourself.
Yes.
But where we do part company is, despite having an excellent sense of humour, I actually don't like the idea of the balloon. I can understand the hostility against it. You've just had Nick Clegg on saying that the world's becoming a bit more isolationist and, trade wars and everything else. I just can't understand how doing this sort of thing can advance sort of like the principle of friendship.
You can't make friends with Donald. You can't make friends.
No, there are lots of...
I'm going to have to speak at some point.
That don't get it. They just see what they see on the TV. They don't understand really what's underneath the bonnet and such. Like, it feels to me very much like a personal battle now between Sadiq Khan and Donald Trump as well.
And the Met Police and the Air Traffic Control Office.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the right-wing media is trying to make you see it as a personal battle. You'd need to find evidence of Sadiq Khan turning down similar-sized blimps, but clearing this one for it to be even anything remotely resembling that. But I don't want you to fall into that trap, because the police and the air... Do you think the police and the air traffic control are having a personal battle with Donald Trump as well? Mate, I'm talking to you.
Around it. I understand you are, mate. I understand that.
But you've got to slow down a little bit, because you've already said a couple of things that aren't true.
Okay, mate, all right.
So do you think the police...
If your father-in-law were to come around your house for the first time, the very first time that you'd ever met him before, do you think it would be common courtesy to put a balloon up of him in the living room, paint him orange with a giant nappy on? How do you think that relationship would develop?
Does he publicly abuse disabled people?
James, you've got to respect the office.
I'm asking you a question. No, you're talking about my father-in-law. So I'm asking you a question. Does he publicly abuse disabled people?
I don't believe that happened, and that was in the campaign before he became president of the United States.
So either did it not happen, or did it happen in the campaign before he became president? Because you just said both.
If from what you're referring to happened during the course of the campaign.
So did this man abuse disabled people? So did this man abuse disabled people before he became my father-in-law?
I've got no idea, but James, answer the question.
Mate, it's your analogy.
Put a balloon up. Do you think that's common courtesy?
Well, yes. If he routinely abuses disabled people and grabs women by the vagina, then yes, I would probably seek to.
How is that helping things in the climate of Brexit?
Well, because if you don't stand up to it, you encourage and
the economy, though, James.
Brenda, I know you thought you had some brilliant points, but every time I deal with one, you try and move on to another one.
What's it going to do for the economy?
What's what going to do for the economy?
Isolating the United States.
Mate, he's just launched a trade war against his closest allies.
Okay, James, all right. You don't seem to have an answer, so I'm quite happy to...
I don't have an answer to what, Brendan?
Well, you're not really answering... I mean,
I've answered all your questions. What would you do if your father-in-law came round and I said, well, well, no, you're talking over me. Do you want me to answer your questions or not, Brendan?
Go on then, go ahead.
Okay, so would I put up a balloon mocking my father-in-law if he was a serial sex pest, if he boasted about grabbing women by the vagina, if he routinely abused and mocked disabled people in public, if he took the mickey out of the families of a dead American or indeed British soldier, if he endorsed a policy and introduced a policy that separated babies from their children and threw them in cages in latter-day concentration camps? I don't think I would put up a balloon, Brendan, because I wouldn't let him into my house, even if however much I loved his daughter, and I'm fairly confident that I couldn't have fallen in love with with a woman who was comfortable with that kind of behaviour, even if it was by... Even if it was...
Trump is guilty of all those things.
Yes, I've seen it all. I've heard the tape of him boasting about being a sex offender. I've seen him mocking disabled people on television, and I've read the order that Jeff Sessions introduced on April the 6th, 2018. And do you know what the really interesting thing is, Brendan?
Go on.
You could see it all as well if you opened your eyes.
Oh, I can see quite a lot, James. I can see that you've been quite along about a lot of things politically in the past, such as your original support for Boris Johnson, which you've later reneged on and assassinated his character.
Well, do you know why? Because I can admit when I'm wrong. That's something else. That's something else you can learn from.
Because you didn't research it properly, despite the fact that you're sitting on a national platform.
What do you mean I didn't research it properly? I researched everything properly. I didn't know as much about it then as I did now, because I didn't think the country would be stupid enough to go down this road. So to be clear, your argument is, when you rang in, you thought, I'll ask him if he'd put up a balloon of his father-in-law in his living room on his first visit, and I've pointed out to you that that would not be anywhere near enough a strong enough opposition to the behaviour that we know Donald Trump has undertaken, and now you're talking to me about Boris Johnson.
So why do you support Sadiq Khan? Why do you support Brendan Cox? These people have done things equally as wrong, but you have them in your studio, don't you?
I have condemned Brendan Cox for his allegations of sexual assault. I dedicated an entire hour of the programme to it. What are you accusing Sadiq Khan of doing?
After knife crimes off the scale in London, James.
It's off the scale in every city in the country. I condemn Brendan. What exactly has Sadiq Khan done that you're accusing him of?
Well, I think the Mayor of London isn't doing a very good job of reducing knife crime.
So do I.
I think it's higher than it's ever been before.
So do I. It's
pretty poor.
So do I. But what are you accusing him of?
Of doing a pretty poor job, James. That's what I just said.
Well, I agree with you. The knife crime is out of control. Something needs to be done. We can argue about who's ultimately responsible, but it's happening on the Mayor's watch. But you rang in about a balloon, Brendan. It's almost as if you've realised your balloon has burst and now you're desperately scrabbling around for anything that might make you sound vaguely credible.
No, I think the balloon is the opposite. I think it stuck. Yeah?
What?
The opposite of the
It stuck.
I think it actually stuck. It's a bad idea. We shouldn't go ahead with it. I'm pretty sure that somebody will deflate it on the day anyway, even if it does go ahead.
Well, I think we all know what that will sound. I think we all know what that will sound like, Brendan. The sound of deflation.
Very good, James.
Donnie's in Edinburgh. Donnie, it's good news. Come on, make it sound like good news.
Absolutely not, O'Brien. I am ecstatic that...
Yeah, that's what I said. I said make it sound like good news.
No way. Donald Trump is the last hope we have for the world. And thank goodness, I wept tears of joy when that man was elected this morning. You talk about rape. You talk about rights. Your very opening gambit this morning was he's going to go after abortion rights now, without actually acknowledging the obscenity of aborting your baby. What about the rights of the baby?
So you agree with me?
No, I do not.
Well, he is going to change that legislation.
If he stops it...
Well, you cross about it. You're agreeing with me. I said he was, and you want him to.
Yes, but you said it in a manner that as if you objected to it. No, also...
Well, that's because I think women should decide what happens to their bodies, not you.
But it's not their bodies. It's someone else's
body.
All right,
okay. Well, let's disagree on that, then. You carry on with other reasons to be cheerful.
You talked about inner rage. Yes, I am filled with rage.
I know.
I am not filled with rage for the reasons you think. For the past 8 years, I have been filled with rage because of this demonic, despotic, satanic dynasty that is the Obamas and the Clintons, who have utterly destroyed the American family. The proper conservative...
I have to warn you, Donnie, just in the interest of openness, a lot of people now will be... In fact, I could probably read you a couple. They'll be claiming that we deliberately filter our calls to put on people who sound a bit mad, and we deliberately don't let anyone on who can make a cogent argument, and it's all very carefully filtered. I just want to clarify, A, that is not the case here, and B, I'm quite insulted on your behalf.
I don't care. Well, actually, this is the first time I've ever called you, and I waited about an hour, but I don't mind. Yeah.
Demonic, despotic dynasty, the Obamas and the Clintons.
The corrupt Clintons, Hillary Clinton has never produced a thing in her life. A family who has made billions from Saudi money, money from the media, whereas Trump at least has earned his money. At least he produces something. Everything that can come from Trump can only be good. The Clintons, the Obamas have obliterated the American ethic entirely.
How did they do that? How did they do that?
Okay,
and also, while you're at it, why are Obama's approval ratings 57% at the moment?
I don't care. That's young people.
Okay.
Do you know something, James?
A few things. Not as much as you, though, Donnie.
James, look. James, listen, I wouldn't give young people the vote. They're too stupid to vote. That's it. You don't have any wisdom about you until you're in your 30s, almost 40 for this generation. Young people should not be given the vote. You know, I'll tell you what to do.
Yes.
Go and look at some footage of a rapper called JC and Beyonce just recently. They spewed the most hateful filth I have ever heard on stage. And guess what? Hillary Clinton came on amid great cheers. This is the woman that you would have as president. A woman who embraces rap stars who are the very antithesis of everything that is right in the family. And you would rather she was president. And you dare to call Donald Trump the Antichrist. Whatever he is...
Hey? I think you're the one using the religious imagery, but if you want to talk about family values, how do you feel about Donald Trump saying that he'd probably date his own daughter if he wasn't her father?
That is tongue-in-cheek remarks. That means nothing. I don't care what he did.
But rappers preach the gospel from the stage. When Donald Trump says that he'd date his own daughter if they weren't related, that's tongue-in-cheek.
Rappers didn't say that. Rappers... Go on, I'll tell you what, go on.
I've really enjoyed listening to you, and I think you should probably go and have a little lie down now.
Yeah, well, we'll go and have a lie down, and I'll rest the sleep. I'll rest the sleep of the innocent.
Yes, you have the sleep of the innocent. Are you being tongue-in-cheek now, or is that a real person?
Someone proper is in power now. Someone good, someone right is in power now. The nightmare has ended.
There you go. That's better, isn't it? It's not till January. You do not... Oh, no, I shouldn't tell him that, should I? You know it's not until January. The despotic, demonic dynasty's still there until January.
Yes, and I will enjoy this holiday honeymoon period while it lasts.
Good. God bless, Donny.
God bless.
Paul's in Manchester. Paul, how upset are you?
James, listen.
I am.
It's the reason why they're allowed to do this is because of the democratic right to free speech. So they're allowed to do this because of the democratic right to free speech. For 2 years, they've been destroying the democratic right of 17.4 million people, including MPs.
Who has?
Right? So
who has?
Well, everybody, all the snowflakes that have been saying we want this, we want that, we want.
So they don't have a democratic right to free speech. The snowflakes.
Well, where's the democratic? How can the democratic right only come from one side?
Well, it doesn't. You just described two sides.
We're being told that we're racist.
Yeah.
And that we didn't know what we was doing.
Well, that's free speech. That's free speech.
Not free speech.
It is, isn't it?
Because 17.4 million people didn't have the right to say what they wanted to.
Of course they did, and they said it.
What they wanted, and when they did say what they wanted to happen,
we're talking about balloons. We're talking about balloons.
Yeah. Well, the second point on that.
Oh yeah, good.
I've only got 2 points.
Well, I don't know that we've actually hit one yet, Paul. To be honest with you.
The second point.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you've been watching EastEnders, but they've been portraying on screen about the death of a young boy that's been stabbed.
Right.
And how that reacts on the family. Instead of Lord Mayor Khan and his office and the police turning around and saying, oh, yeah, that's a great thing to do, why don't they get off the bums and stop knife crime and save people's lives?
How would that... I mean, no one's going to argue about the importance of tackling knife crime, but how would not flying the balloon, do you think, reduce knife crime?
Well, they're making light when they've got more important things to be doing.
Well, it's literally a signature. It's literally a signature on a piece of paper. I'm intrigued as to how not having a balloon of Donald Trump flying would reduce knife. How would it reduce knife crime?
Well, 10,000 people signed this petition. 17.4 million people signed a referendum.
Yes, but you're not. You don't think you should be allowed to criticise the 10,000 people who signed the petition because you don't think other people should be allowed to criticise the 17.4 million who voted to leave the European Union. You can't have it both ways, Paul. Anyway, you said you had 2 points. You said you had 2 points. You said you had 2 points. Let's hear the first one.
Well, the first one is we have a democratic society, therefore people's views should be allowed on both sides.
You're exactly right. So fly the balloon. So fly the balloon.
17.4 million people said they wanted to leave the EU. right?
Some of them wanted to be like Norway. Some of them wanted to be like Switzerland. Some of them wanted to keep freedom of movement. Some of them thought that we'd be able to stay in the customs union. 22% of them thought there was only a slight risk of having to leave the single market. So they didn't all vote for the same thing, Paul. Or am I denigrating your democratic freedom by pointing out that what you say isn't really true?
No, you're not, because that's your view.
So that's back. It's not my view, mate. Those are facts.
Well, okay, that's your fact.
No. Those are the facts. They're your facts as well. They're all our facts.
The EU,
they're the only
right?
facts.
Since then, look what's happening now. We're not going to be leaving the EU.
Well, I don't know that that's true, but of course, what you're really cross about, and I did hope that we would be talking about balloons this hour, but what you're really cross about is all the people.
It's absolutely disgraceful that we're putting a balloon up against Donald Trump.
But it's freedom of speech.
No, yeah, well, okay. So why didn't we have freedom of speech when the Saudis came over?
We did. There was a massive protest outside 10 Downing Street. I went down there myself.
They didn't put balloons in the sky.
Well, no one applied to. They could have done. No one applied to. So you want more balloons? I don't understand, Paul. So you think we should have had more balloons? You're cross that there's only one balloon for Donald Trump. You wanted one for the Saudi Crown Prince as well.
Well, for all of them, yeah.
So your complaint is there aren't enough. So you've ring in to say there aren't enough balloons mocking foreign leaders.
Well, if you're going to do it for one, you've got to do it for them all.
Well, then where is your crowdfunding petition, mate?
I'm not a crowdfunding petition.
Well, that's how this one happened. This is how it happened.
Yeah, so
you are literally free, as a citizen of this democratic country, you're literally free to pay for and apply to float a balloon about anyone you want in this country. So maybe you should do that.
Like Nick Ferrari's turned around and said previously, right? It's a good job we're not at war, because then people would have something really to worry about.
Which people would?
Crowdfunding permissions to put...
Mate, come on. I'd never speak ill of colleagues, but the idea... Well, no, and I won't speak ill of Nick, but you think we should be at war because people think a balloon is funny?
No, I think that if we was at war, people would have much more serious things to worry about than putting a balloon in the sky.
But you've rung in literally because you're so worried about the balloon in the sky.
Well, yeah, what's wrong with Donald Trump?
No, you've literally rung in to complain about the balloon, and then in the space of 5 minutes you've said we should be at war so that people don't get so worked up about something as silly as a balloon. You're literally describing yourself now, Paul. Yes.
If we were at war,
yes,
people would have much more to worry about than putting a balloon in the sky.
But I'm not worried about the balloon in the sky, and we're not at war. You're worried about it. Why do you need a war? Why do you need a war to stop being worried about the balloon, Paul?
Everything's going so left-wing. Everything's going all nice and, we'll bring back flower power and all go and sit in the park and all
down with being nice to people. Why do you need a war to stop being cross about the balloon? I'm just interested.
Because then you'd have to worry about things like getting your kids to an air raid show.
No, here's the thing. Listen to me, Paul.
You've got potatoes growing in your garden so you can eat.
Yes, no, these are all... I've got potatoes growing in my allotment, and I'm not at war.
There you go. No, but if there was one, you'd be prepared.
I'd be growing more potatoes.
What would the others do?
Well, I'd probably, depending on who we were fighting against, I'd probably try to sign up. But listen, I'm going to give you some really helpful advice, all right?
Go on.
You don't need to go to war to stop being cross about the balloon, Paul. What you do now is you just say, Paul, stop being cross about the balloon. Let's try it.
No, what we need...
No, stop it. This is my good deed for the day, Paul.
Bows and arrows go up and pop the balloon.
Paul, well, no, because that would be silly. And that wouldn't... But because you're trying to not be angry about the... You're trying to not be angry about the balloon, Paul. So going down there and getting arrested for having an offensive weapon in a public place would make the situation worse, not better. So I'm going to try and help you...
We've got soldiers that can do that.
We've got soldiers that can do that as well. Well, I mean, maybe they wouldn't be there if we were at war. So here's the thing. You have chosen to be angry about a balloon. You have somehow persuaded yourself that you wouldn't be angry about the balloon if only we were at war. Because I love you, I'm very keen to explain to you that you don't have to be angry about the balloon with a war in the background. You could just stop being angry about the balloon, because being angry about the balloon is stupid.
It's all full of hot air, isn't it?
Well, it is, yes, Paul.
Are
you less angry now than when you? Are you less angry now than when you rang in?
You've calmed me down, James.
Paul, that is what I'm here for. All right, now.
It's still wrong.
Well, it's not really. It's a balloon.
Oh, come on.
Oh, come on.
Can we put a balloon up of Sadiq Khan?
Of course you can, mate. We've been through this. You start the petition, you crowdfund the money, you find enough people who want to do it as well, and I will defend it. I will laugh at it.
There's a crowdfunding page already up and going for...
Go get your money in there. Well, actually, don't. Keep your money in your pocket, because you could spend it on something a bit more constructive. But spread it around. Spread the word. Spread the word.
Potatoes for the war.
Right, yeah, we save your potatoes for the war, Paul. Mind how you go. James is in Gravesend. James, what's going on?
Hello, how are you doing, James? You all right?
Very well, mate. What's on your mind?
I've got a butt for you. That clip that you have put out.
Yeah.
It's a bit, you know, you twisted that whole situation, because if you would have carried on with that clip, he said, yeah, right.
Which clip, James? The one about the uranium, the one about the finely tuned machine, or the one about the fake news but real leaks?
The fake news.
Okay.
Real leaks.
I haven't twisted it in the sense of, I mean, it's shorter than the whole 76 minutes.
What it is, you've put in, he said, yeah, it's real leaks, fake news.
Yeah.
But the time the media have finished with the real leaks, it is fake news. And if you would have carried on with what, you know, listen to what he was saying,
yes,
that's exactly what he said.
Well, I heard the whole speech.
That you put on LBC.
Well, hang on. Let's remind. It's not me that's made it look stupid, James. Let's remind ourselves of the clip you're referring to.
Well, the leaks are real. You're the one that wrote about them and reported them. I mean, the leaks are real. You know what they said. You saw it. And the leaks are absolutely real. The news is fake because so much of the news is fake.
Okay, the news is fake because so much of the news is fake. The leaks are real. You know that because you wrote about them and reported them. You're going to have to unpick me. You're going to have to help me out here, James.
So what he's trying to say, that the leaks are real, but the time the media have finished with it, it's fake.
Well, so which bits are fake then?
Well, what the media have twisted. What he's trying to say is the media twist the leaks.
How?
So if they've just got one paragraph of the truth,
no, they've got the full transcripts of the conversations. Listen, I don't want to press you, but you've got to give me an example of what you mean. They've got the full transcripts of the conversation. He said to the journalists that wrote the stories, you know the leaks are real. James, hang on, mate. This is important. He said to the journalists that wrote the stories, you know the leaks are real. You guys reported them, but the news is fake. So just give me a bit of help. And I appreciate this isn't your profession, but at what point did it become fake in your opinion? Well, give me an example of something that's not true that got reported.
I understand where he's coming from. I really do. I understand because I not hate the media, but I dislike them. I distrust them because, you know, especially the BBC.
That's fine, but I'm going to just ask you once more. Can you just tell me something that has been published in America about these leaks that's not true?
Well, I've not dig deep into the leaks. But
no, it's not the leaks. The leaks are real. It's the fake news I want to hear about.
Coming from.
Yeah.
I understand where he's coming from. What he was trying to say was the time the media finished with it, they twisted it. And
precisely. So show me the twist. Where is the report that contains something about the leaks that's not true? Because he didn't have a single example.
I've not dig deep into what the leaks are about.
Right.
What I've rang up to say is, this is what the media do. They twist things, and they make...
But we haven't found a single twist.
No, but this is what the media does.
No, but we haven't found a single twist.
He's got it in with CNN. CNN's got so much hate.
Okay, that's what he said. That's what he said. Who would you point at first at CNN in this example of someone who's expressed hatred of Donald Trump?
I'll tell you, I'll watch CNN. The fella with the grey hair, the hate that comes from him.
So give me an example. What's he?
They put a whole panel in of the left.
No.
Hate him.
Okay, but this is what Donald Trump said yesterday. This is what he said yesterday. You're quoting him.
What do you mean?
You're quoting Donald Trump. You're just repeating what he says.
No, what he was trying to say, what he was saying is that the media twist it, and I know they do.
Yeah, but you can't show me. Just show me a twist. One twist.
Okay, if I'm not dig deep into the leaks...
But surely you have to dig deep before you arrive at a conclusion about what's going on.
Well, I only saw it last night. So,
Yeah, but you're certain that he's twisted. All right, listen.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I will dig deep tonight, and I will phone you back tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm not on tomorrow. Ray's in Billericay. Why has the balloon upset you, Ray?
Because it's disrespectful.
To whom?
To the country, to the Queen. I don't mind people being mocked in spitting image, in cartoons, and things like that. That's fine. But you've got a leader of the biggest country in the world that saved us in 2 world wars, and you're mocking the man.
Yes, mocking the man, not the country.
You're
Donald Trump... No, Ray. Donald Trump dodged the draft.
If you don't agree with them, you cut them off, as you did about 10 minutes ago, and this is what I'm going to do with you.
Go on then, Ray. Oh, no, Ray! Oh, no! Oh, what am I going to do with this slice of pineapple now? Yanni is in Croydon. Yanni, what would you like to say?
Good morning, James.
Hello.
Well, first of all, I don't agree with that guy who was just whatever Scalamaggi or whatever his name is. But I don't think it's Trump's fault at all. I know you like to quickly jump on Trump, but this is all Obama's fault and his administration before. For years, North Korea or Kim Jong-un has been threatening America and its citizens, and he's done nothing but talk. Yeah, he's a good talker, but that's all he ever did. You're forgetting that man created ISIS. He was saying it in front of us, our eyes and our ears for years, saying arming rebel ISIL forces, and that eventually led to ISIS. And he always put these sanctions, so-called sanctions...
So, are you talking about Kim Jong-un or Barack Obama now?
No, but Barack Obama... This is
created ISIS.
Yeah, he did. Him and his Clinton buddies created them by arming the rebels, so-called ISIL forces, as he always said in the media, in his speeches. And then with the North Korea, he's always put all these sanctions on about how he shouldn't be threatening us, etc. For once, you've got a president who's actually going to back up and defend American people if need must.
What's he going to do, do you think? So you think there is going to be a war?
Of course there will be, eventually. Of course there will be. If they keep playing up like they do, like a sport little brat, then they're going to get dealt with, aren't they?
So who are you talking about, America or North Korea?
North Korea.
Right, and
you've got to feel for the people more than anything. What they should do
so
is
let's
just
bomb them,
take
then.
out the leader. No, just take out the leader.
Right.
Just take him out. Because all you're doing is slandering Trump, but what's he doing? He's just defending American people when they're being threatened again and again and again. I bet if North Korea bombed an American place, you'd be like, oh, this is bad, how dare he? But then as soon as Trump done something, you'll go, oh, how dare he do that? Look at him, he's a criminal, he's a murderer.
Hang on, that would be the same reaction.
You
just said how dare he twice. I mean, surely I've got to approve of one and disapprove of the other for you to have a point.
Well, no, but listen, I'm not denying Trump's a bit of a numpty. You can't deny that. Look at him. Just look at him.
Mate, let's start again. And when you picked up the phone, I thought, I'm just going to give James a ring and tell him what I think. What was the sort of crystallised thought in your brain when you did that?
Well, all this started from Obama.
Right. Which is what Sean Hannity has been saying on Fox News.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. I mean, it works, doesn't it? Otherwise, I wouldn't pay him so much. Stuart's in Bath to steer us back to the Donald Trump conversation. Stuart, what would you like to say?
Just a few words in defence of Donald Trump, please, mate, President Trump, if possible.
Yeah, go on.
Well, I don't think it's racist what he said to the 4 ladies in Congress there, in any way, shape or form. They're all Americans. And he's just pointing out that their disruptive activities, I mean, they're hardline socialists, mate. They're left-wing extremists. And they're trying to change American politics from within. And he's just pointing that out.
And what's he trying to do when he took over from Barack Obama? Was he trying to carry on doing politics exactly the same as Obama did, or was he trying to change it from within?
Well, Obama didn't successfully change it from within, so it's
not a trick question. Did Donald Trump seek to carry on conducting politics in America in a fashion identical to his predecessor, or did he seek to change it from within by becoming president?
No, it's not a trick question, and I'll say exactly what I just said again. Obama didn't change American society like he wanted to, so Donald Trump is just re-establishing American capitalism.
Pardon?
You heard.
Donald Trump is re-establishing American capitalism. 51 months of consecutive growth, all of which began with Obama.
No, Obama's taking credit for growth. That's absolute hogwash, and you know it.
Stuart, can you count?
Mate, you are in sympathy with these ladies in Congress. They're trying to transform the country
You're
into
on the
a socialist
radio.
country. Don't interrupt me, mate. Don't interrupt me. You are on the side of these women because you would favour socialist society, a left-wing society as well.
Go on, mate. I'm not interrupting you. I'm waiting for you to say something sensible.
No, you just can't come back with anything. Mate, you're in sympathy with these women, and...
Name them. Name them.
Media.
Name them.
Well, AOC, for a start.
What does that stand for?
Alexandria Occasional Cortex.
No. So you know all about their politics, you don't even know their names, and you're on national radio having your pants pulled down.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Omar, Presley.
Mate, you've got your phone out. You've got your phone out now.
Yes,
you come on national radio, claiming that you know everything about their policy. So which policy do you think most demonstrates their socialist tendencies, Stuart?
High taxes beyond all belief, and ploughing that money into public services.
Mate, you can't have high taxes under socialism because everybody earns the same. So let's try again. Which policy do you think best espouses their socialist tendencies?
No, everyone earns the same after the socialist template's successful, which means destroying the middle class.
So they don't want socialism, then they want high taxes for high earners.
Are you telling me those women don't want socialism in America?
Stuart, I'm telling you, you don't even know their names. Stuart, you don't even know their names. Did you just say? Did you just say fifth column?
I knew you'd ask me.
Yes, but you looked it up on your phone. Stop interrupting. Yes, sorry, Stuart. Carry on.
Right, I knew you'd ask me their names because you couldn't come back with anything, so I looked on the screen on my phone, yes.
Why didn't you know their names before you rang in?
Because I just looked them up and researched them, mate, and I know exactly what...
Why didn't you know their names before you rang in, if you know everything about their politics? Why do you think... theoretically, why do you think you might not know their names, but you know what they stand for politically?
Mate, I got their names up on the webpage.
That's not what I asked. That's not what I
knew you were going to ask me their names because you couldn't come back with a valid argument.
I already have. I've asked you to name one socialist policy that they support.
High tax.
That's not socialism.
It is socialism.
Okay, Stuart. What do you think socialism means?
Socialism is an ideology. You subscribe to it.
What does it mean?
It's never been proved to work.
What does it mean, Stuart? For the record, I'm not a socialist, but tell me...
Look, mate, I'm in support of Donald Trump.
Yeah, I know you are.
Comments on,
and you like the racism, but what do you think? What do you think socialism means?
Look, you're not going to Wikipedia me out of this argument, mate.
I don't need to. I know what it means. Tell me what you think it means. I didn't say the word, you did. What does it mean?
It means collapse. And you know it. And you subscribe to it.
Go on.
And it will never work.
Socialism means collapse. You know it. Socialism means collapse. Yes. Do you want to say something? Do you want to expand on that, Stuart, at all?
Well, the socialist policies, mate, have never been proved to work.
So name a socialist policy, Stuart. We're back round the other side of the circle now. You can't define what it means, and you can't name a single socialist policy. What are you so angry about?
Well, I'm trying to actually speak, mate. You just constantly interrupting me and getting me to name things, right?
Yes, like a socialist policy or the meaning of socialism.
So this is what happens, you see.
I know.
A left-wing media commentator will not let someone speak when their opinion is against theirs.
What does socialism mean? You can't have an opinion about socialism if you don't know what it means. So what does it mean?
To me, personally?
No, you silly sausage. To everybody, not to you personally.
Right, socialism is an ideology. It's a political system, and it does not work.
What does it mean?
What does it mean? Look, James, I phoned in support of Donald Trump.
I know.
His comments aren't racist. Those women are...
What does socialism mean, Stuart? What does socialism mean?
So this is what happens, you see. You get someone into a dead end. Socialism, I don't know the Wikipedia... You know, you're trying to get me Wikipedia me to death here.
No, just any meaning at all, Stuart. I didn't mention the word. It's 12 o'clock. I've been doing this topic for an hour. No one said socialism except you. What does it mean?
No, everyone that's phoned in has more or less been in support of the fifth columners there in America.
What does socialism mean, Stuart?
Right, to all your listeners, okay, as they are listening and nodding their head, the ones that are supporting what I'm saying is, socialism is a template that the four ladies in Congress are trying to bring into America. It doesn't work.
Stuart doesn't know what it means. Stuart hasn't got a clue what it... Stuart's on national radio condemning socialism and revealing he doesn't know what it means.
Okay, it's high taxes, it's healthcare for all that doesn't work or bankrupt the country. It is attacking big business. It's an incestuous relationship between big business and government.
Sweetheart. Listen, next time...
Patronising, you see.
Of course I'm patronising you. You're a clown. You're on national radio condemning socialism and you've been asked...
You're a clown.
No, you're a clown. No, you're a clown.
And you're just as bad as those women in Congress.
And you're just as... And my dad's bigger than your dad. Mate, go home.